What's our last subject?
Okay, it's big cell phone night, right?
Oh, cell phone.
Okay, so we've got another cell phone. This one is Supreme Court just heard
A lot of arguments on this one.
a week or two ago, just very recently, cell phone searches. And this is if you incident to the arrest, which we're talking about is, okay, we're talking about warrant exceptions to the search. Okay, you're supposed to have a warrant. I mean, the big thing in the Bill of Rights.
But is a cell phone something you need a warrant to search?
Well,
and that seems to be the subject.
What's going on here is that you always could search incident to the arrest. Okay, so what happened here, there's two cases, one in California, and this guy got pulled over, and they looked at his cell phone data, and on there he had some stuff that showed criminal and gang activity. So that's the California's case, right? That's Riley versus California. He had an expired license plate. License plate.
No registration.
Registration was old, right?
Yeah.
So there's,
probable cause.
So they had a good stop there because he wasn't registered. Then when they checked him, he had a suspended license. So they arrested him for the suspended license. Then incident to that arrest, they impounded the car.
Right.
And in the car was a cell phone. And there was also 2 handguns. And now on the cell phone were photos that linked him to a gang shooting.
Right.
Which I guess is possible, but doesn't seem much sense if you're a gangster that you would take photos of a gang shooting, but maybe he did. So that's what linked him, was he had photos on his camera that related him to a gang shooting, plus the 2 handguns. Okay, so that's Riley versus California. And then you've got U.S. versus Wurie, W-U-R-I-E, and he had a flip phone, and he was suspected of being a crack cocaine dealer. So the cops are talking or whatever, had the phone, and the phone's ringing, and then the cops have the phone, and the person calling is my house. So the cops are like, well, it's the house.
It's your house where you live,
or
because it's my house.
The house calling, or my house is calling. And there was a picture on there with a woman with a baby. So the police did a backwards number check on it, got the address, went there, and at the house there was
drugs,
crack and cash.
Crack and cash. A large amount of cash from what I understand, from what I read.
So on these things, both of these are, the question is that, okay, so it used to be, you had phones, there was not that much information on it. But now when you're carrying a cell phone, it's almost like having a computer. Most people never carried their computers around with them, and usually those have been in the house or a business. And generally, you'd have to have a search warrant to go in the house or the business. Right. In a car, you don't have the same expectation of privacy, right? And except maybe in the trunk, but anywhere in your reach for sure in a car, and also it's out in public, there's less of an expectation. But most people don't carry their computer. But now your cell phone's like your computer. And so that means the police can look at your calendars, look at your emails, look at your GPS, where you've been the whole life of that phone. They can find out just about everything about you from that cell phone. So now things that used to be protected, like, the cops weren't supposed to be looking through letters that were sealed, that you're mailing. Well, that's on your email. Those are your texts, right? All that information is there. So it's a huge trove of information that I think you should have a warrant for, but...
Well, wait a minute. It's obvious that the Supreme Court doesn't really... Well, we
don't know yet.
We don't know yet. But this is similar, in its own way, it's kind of similar to the prior discussion we just had about the anonymous tip.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to go with an anonymous tip and say, I can do whatever I want as a police officer with an anonymous tip, which, by the way, at some level there's something legitimate, but overall I don't believe in it. But in this one, to open that cell phone and say, we can do whatever we want with this, and that means all your pictures, all your emails, all your texts, all your calendar, all your appointments, everything like that.
GPS, all your location.
GPS, all your location.
And then if you bought stuff online, so all your purchases, credit card numbers, finances,
everything.
Tax returns.
So now the question is that accessible just upon an arrest? Or do you need a specific warrant to go into that phone and say, now I'm going to start tapping down? Now, here's another thing. If you have a code on your phone, do you have to give the officers the code so they can get in? A passcode.
Well, I think that they can probably take that into the station. They probably have a computer guy that can break that.
I understand that, but guess what? Is that enough to say no? Well, there's a passcode required.
Well, I think you would be in a worse situation if they said, "Well, open your phone for us."
And I said no.
If you say,
you get a warrant.
Yeah, if you say no, that would be some protection. But I still think if they wanted to, they could, once they have possession.
But then the question is, what gives them the authority to go in? Because they don't have that authority yet. Or do they?
Well, they're arguing that they do on the impound.
Are they saying they have that authority now?
Well, the Obama administration is arguing that, yeah, that's
today they have that. Today
that's
they
what
have
the
that
Justice
authority.
Department is arguing. The
Okay,
Solicitor
you're
General.
saying today they have that authority
That's
already.
that's what Solicitor General, that's what the Obama administration is arguing. That, yeah,
we already have that authority.
That's what they're arguing in the Supreme, and then there's, that's the
whole basis of the Supreme Court.
Well,
I think
that's the U.S. I'm not sure. I guess it'd be the Attorney General in California is arguing they have a right to see it.
Yeah, but wait
these guys are saying no.
Where do they derive that right from, Mark?
Well, they have guns.
No, it's not guns and badges, Mark. It's not about guns and badges.
Well,
because
I don't think people are too worried about the badges anymore.
Well, okay, well, as long as those stinking badges,
just the
okay.
guns,
But here's the deal. The bottom line is, if you have, if you're under the color of authority,
they have pens.
They have some right to if they believe there's going to be a crime in progress or some event that's going to cause
but that would be
injury to somebody. They have that right
that's
to
a
stop
different. That's exigent stuff. That's a different warrant exception.
But are they?
This warrant exception is specifically incident to the arrest. This is specifically. This is not.
Well, they can search your pockets.
Yeah.
They're
looking for weapons. Right.
And they can search your car.
But do you have a weapon in your
cell phone?
Email data?
No, absolutely not.
Do you have a weapon in your credit card history?
Absolutely not.
Well, you might. If you're buying,
if you purchased guns illegally off Craigslist or wherever else you've been buying guns.
So there's some questions there, but I think that the police power is huge. If the police can do this, you can kind of kiss the Fourth Amendment goodbye in the modern world.
Well, the modern world, we kind of already given all that away.
Because if they can do their phone, that means they can have your computer, your laptop,
But then I have a question. Now,
how about your car data?
Okay, well, hang on. How about this? You look at the phone, you see your address, and you say, well, I just arrested you for drunk driving, so now I can go search your home. And then you go to the home, and then I'm going to search on your computer, and now I'm going to search your laptops, now I'm going to search your iPads, your iPhones, anything you got at home, I'm going to search.
Well, how about
But where does that come up?
How about the information in your car itself, the GPS system?
Well,
can they search that?
Well, every place you've been.
Yeah, and how fast you were going, and da-da-da.
Well, that's coming up because they're talking about putting things on every car, tracking them automatically, how many miles you drive.
Right.
And that would also be how much gas you use.
Tracking them, yeah, I'm not sure that they're worried about the gas. We've got more gas.
No, they're not worried about gas.
We've got more gas than we could give away in this country.
No, it's about controlling society because it's easier to keep everyone shut up if you got them under control.
But this whole phone thing is huge. It's huge. This is really the end of the Fourth Amendment. This is the end of the United States being a free country.
Well, if that's the case, how could anyone on the Supreme Court then vote for it? If it's the end of the Fourth Amendment.
They don't have any guns. And now, people have phones. They've got pens. They got guns.
Yeah, but is a phone a gun?
Well, some people can pick up a phone and they got lots of guns. So, I think that the Supreme Court might be too afraid to stand up to this.
Well, wait a minute. You have a conservative block of 4. You have a liberal block of 4. Then you have Justice Kennedy that votes on either side of that.
Right.
And as we've seen from our earlier case, they split differently.
But this is a little different than the anonymous tip. The anonymous tip, I think, the anonymous tip does affect,
your rights,
the reasonable suspicion for a stop.
Right.
But this goes into big government control. So I think this really gives the government complete control. I mean, this is complete 1984. This is the end of liberty. Right. And so, big government people, even if they're liberal and they're, don't like police power in some cases, I think they'll go along with this. So I think this is a good chance to pay because this gives the government.
You think this is gonna be upheld?
I think it will. I mean, this gives the government absolute control. I mean, now we're no longer in a country, we're in a gulag.
Well, then the question is, do you have a cell phone anymore?
Well, they already know, so I mean.
Well, they already know everything, so what's the difference? So that's the question.
Well, the difference is if you write a letter, you say something against the government, then, then you
then that's a terrorist act.
Then you get taken care of. Then you get fixed up.
Oh, okay. Well, what happens is that then you made a video.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Then
you made a bad video.
You made a bad video, and that's what really caused the downfall of the Ukraine.
Yeah, the downfall.
And you know why? Because they had a funny video of Putin in the Ukraine, and so he decided it was time to invade.
We should apologize.
Yeah, in fact, we got to apologize.
But so anyway, what's really interesting about this is that both of these cases are, the modern day, and so people are saying, well, since it's a modern technology, it's a modern day, the Bill of Rights doesn't really matter anymore, but I don't really see that's big of a difference. I mean, I think the Bill of Rights, that says you're supposed to be, secure in your person and your papers.
Well, I don't think we're secure, and on that happy note, I think we're going to have to leave it at that. Because we aren't secure in our persons, papers, and things.
Yeah, right. But I would call these papers.
As the final moments of Law Talk wind down, Mark, it's an excellent evening. 3 great subjects, and I really appreciate the good conversation on that.
Okay, call me because I.